Have you heard of light language? They say it can accelerate spiritual growth and eliminate energetic blockages. This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is spiritual activator Ken Lloyd. And it all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio here in Southern California, Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support.
Okay, welcome to the interview section of our show, Guys Radio, and I am delighted to bring a new guest on to Guys Radio, and he's probably the most unique individual that has ever graced the airways with me on the show, and I've dealt with him for the past month or so, and he is just an amazing human being. He's doing a lot of work for mankind, and I'm really stressed that you should listen to this whole show or watch this whole show and really take it seriously, because Ken Lloyd, who's my special guest, he is a multidimensional healer and soul activator. He embodies what's called Oversoul aspects following his profound walk-in experience. And we'll get into what that is. He works within what's called the Library of Creation. You might have heard of the Akashic Records. It's similar, but it's a multidimensional space that holds divine templates, Ascension codes, and healing technology. And as you know on the show, what I like to do is bring in guests that have something to add, something to show us something new. And then it's up to you to determine, hey, I want to learn more, or like, I don't know if this is right for me, but I bring the information, I bring the guests, and you guys take it from there. So what Ken can do is he dissolves implants and trauma, activates dormant DNA, and realigns individuals with their soul's original blueprint. Now, Ken's not a doctor. He doesn't claim to be a healer, but he just puts these light codes out there that come through him to help us. And then it's up to you to do the work. His sessions unlock hidden gifts, restore energetic balance, and elevate consciousness. He speaks light language. We're going to do some on the show today, and I'm going to stress now and later, when he's doing that, even though there's no danger or anything, don't be driving and don't be handling heavy equipment or anything like that. Get home, get in a safe, quiet space where you can take in the session and really have your body and your soul work with Ken's guides. It's going to help restore energetic balance, elevate consciousness. Again, he's going to speak the light language and operate beyond time, beyond linear time. So Ken facilitates deep transformations, whether in group sessions, one-on-one settings, and his guides help release what no longer serves us and helps us remember who we truly are and why we're here. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But I want Ken to get into all of that for you folks. But I'm just delighted, and you can see how excited I am because I've worked with Ken for the past month or so. My wife and I, we have had tremendous positive responses to the guides and to the work that's being done. So I'm thrilled to welcome Ken Lloyd to Guys Radio. Welcome, Ken.
Oh, wow. What an introduction. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Ken. I thought it was important to really get a lot out there and really kind of read some of the introduction because, when I was trying to position you, I said to myself, okay, Ken channels light language, but yeah, that's one aspect of it, but there's so much more. So Ken, for the benefit of our audience that is not yet familiar with you and your work, can you please share your personal story as to how you were, quote unquote, inhabited with walk-in entities and the channeling of light language that is meant to help us heal ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I don't have any background in this, right? So I didn't grow up with spirituality. I didn't grow up with religion. I had none of these things. In fact, my background was cybersecurity. I've created 3 companies. I sold the 3 companies. And it was during the 3rd company, the acquisition, that I was under incredible amount of stress. Ended up with a pituitary tumor, cortisol tumor. And, I ended up getting triggered one day, which is I later found out was the word for angry, but triggered. And I went to lay down and just let that anger flow through me. And what happened here is as soon as I hit the bed, my stomach arched up in the air like an upside down letter U. I mean, like really crazy posturing. And I had electricity running through the body, meaning that I was frozen in this crazy position. No idea what's going on. And as I'm sitting there, it only lasted for 3 or 4 minutes, but as I'm sitting there, I'm feeling this heat and this swirling energy in my abdomen. And well, I didn't know what was happening at the time. And in fact, it took me almost a year before I realized what took place. But what actually happened at the moment was spirit, we'll just call it spirit, came in and they pulled all the trauma out of my body. My almost 50 years of life trauma from childhood all the way up.
Did you know, Ken, what was happening at that time, or did you kind of sort this out afterwards? Did you know?
No clue.
Okay.
I had no clue what was happening to me or my body. It was the idea of having a near-death experience, but without all of the fun stuff. Meaning I didn't, you can imagine the tunnel opening. People talk about that all the time, right? And you go to the other side and you have these conversations, these healings. You imagine the tunnel opening. I didn't go over. I had a soul come through the tunnel, and this is just metaphorical, and reside in my field. All right. It's what they call a walk-in. Now, I became that day a soul braid walk-in where I had a soul kind of braided with me, operating with me. Now, I didn't know it was there. I couldn't talk to it. I had no idea. All I know is the next day when I woke up, I had peace all of a sudden. I'm like, where did this come from? And I found myself uh, Googling every free minute I had. It was that passion that come up, says, what just happened to me? What is spirituality? What is an aura? What is energy? So all of a sudden I'm Googling all these things that I've never even heard of before. And this is what that soul aspect did when it came over, is it got me to change my life in terms of eat better, get off the medications, my process, detox the body. And what it was doing was raising the frequency of my body so I could get more spiritual assistance, if you will. So that happened that day. And a little while later, and this has been 7 years now, about 7 years from this recording, um, through the past 7 years, I've had more come in. So I had the one that day in April of 23, I had 13 more come into my field. Now I'm being told these things because I can't see them. It's funny, you can't see. I can see everything in you, but I can't see the things in
Ah.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So 13 more came in, and then in Mexico last year, nine more came in, and then so I'm a
Crowded.
soul trader.
That's crowded in there, Ken.
It's
That's
but
you
it
got
gets
a first.
worse.
First, you had a Airbnb, and now you've got you got a condo complex.
I got a whole condo complex, and it keeps growing. So a soul braid, these energies and their soul aspects, they're not full souls. They come in and each one of them, you can think of them as having a tool, like in a toolbox, right? The first one, the tool was to get me to clean up the body to get healthy, right? I still had to heal. I still had to have surgery for the tumor, so on and so forth. But when the other ones came in, I started healing people. Right. So I ended up picking up a book that says, hey, energy healing. I'm like, oh, what is this? And, do exercises 1B and 2C and 3D, whatever. And I'm getting results from those people, friends and family. I'm like, this was
Oh,
crazy.
let me interrupt you there, Ken.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but I'm just trying to represent the listeners out there. So when you say heal them, you put them in a position to heal themselves. Is that what you mean by that?
No, no. What
Okay.
happens here is I'm able to access, you can call it raw energy.
Hmm.
Okay, I can access your energetic field. So the physical body is actually made up of energy, even though we can't quite see it with our eyes. But I'm able to see and work with the energy that creates the physical structure.
Okay.
So imagine your physical structure, not only when it's created, and it's created a billion times every second, when it's created, it's using these imprints of energy which contain distortions. We'll use the term distortions for a moment.
Yeah.
When there's a distortion in your energy field, it comes into the physical body as a dis-ease, a condition, a broken bone, so on and so forth. However, when you're in that energy field, if you pull those distortions out, your body's recreated energetically,
Hmm.
again, billion times a second, it's recreated without the distortion,
Okay.
without the condition, right? Our bodies naturally vibrate healed. But when these distortions are there, this is how things show up in our world. So I'm able to go in with the assistance of my team
Mhm.
to go in there and see and remove those distortions so your body shows up without the condition.
So when you see into somebody, let's say you're looking at me,
Mhm.
what do your guides tell you what you're seeing, or how do you know what to look for, and what happened the first time when this happened, when you looked at somebody and it's completely different?
So great question. And what the team did over the 7 years was they would put groups of people in front of me. Let's say we got a lot of people with shoulder issues, and I would have to figure out how to move that energy. Okay. And they
Mhm.
would do this every 2 or 3 weeks. They would shift into something else with me, put more people in front of me to do these things. So I learned how to do these. And it's like going through school, where when I first started, it was kindergarten crayons, right?
Mhm.
And now I'm whatever level you want to consider. So my ability to do things, not only the breadth of what I can do, not only expanded, but the quickness also expanded. So once I learned, again, how to move that energy, it became a code, a program, if you want to use the computer terms, right? It's a code, and I'm able to apply those codes rapidly. So when I first started healing a shoulder, it might have took me an entire hour,
Mhm.
right? And now it takes me a matter of seconds.
Now, is this all done, Ken, with the light language? And for our audience out there, Ken's gonna do some work for all
Mhm.
of us, and you're gonna hear some rapid fire light language where you will like the first time you hear it, you will shake your head and say, "What the heck's going on?" But my question is, does when did that come to you, and why is it so fast? And do your 29 guides or however many you have now, do they communicate with each other while they're communicating with you? And how does your growth continue? That's a
Yeah.
lot. I'm
So
throwing a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
at you.
yeah, yeah. A
Sorry.
lot of questions there. So the growth never stops. So typically, I'll see if I can answer these kind of in a backward order. Typically, when we go through our own spiritual evolution, we will kind of get a bump, like, oh wow, I can meditate now. I'm making
Okay.
this up, of course. And then we level off, and then we get a bump. Oh, I can do this thing now. And maybe that level off or that plateau is a day. Maybe it's a year. Maybe it's 10 years. So again, like the staircase, we keep going up our evolution. The way my team explains it to me is I'm on an elevator that actually doesn't stop. So every couple weeks, there's more things happening to my physical structure
Mhm.
and the ability for me to deliver. So little different with me. The so let me kind of explain how the team is configured now. So in July of last year, almost to the day, the team says, listen, go do a Cambo and a Bufo. These are hallucinogenics, frog poisons, and toad poisons, and I
Mhm.
personally don't like those things at all in any capacity, but I did it. And what happened here, when I did these things, the Campbell opened up the cells of the body, and I'm sorry, and then the Bufo is the God molecule, the DMT, also known as the ego death. I will confirm there is an ego death that takes place. I actually saw my ego being walked out, but what was actually happening that day is the soul aspects that were in my field around me, they all merged with my soul aspect into my physical structure. That day, I went from a soul braid, which is a term for a walk-in, to a soul infusion. Ken is infused with my collective in my physical structure. I'm an embodied collective for those of that who connect to collectives out there in the galactic sense, they're in my physical structure. I do not interact with them individually. In fact, I don't even know who flows in and out. But let me explain. So the consciousness, the collective is a divine omni consciousness stream. The only things in my collective are divine beings. Now, again, as I told you earlier, I can't see inside of me, but I have friends that can. And back in February, I'm like, hey, help me understand what I call my configuration. Now, back in February, I had 16 ascended masters. Now, please, these are soul aspects, not full on souls, aspects of the tool. So 16 ascended masters. I had four oversouls in the physical structure. And then I had 10 Christed ETs. All right. And a Christed ET is no different than an ascended master who's been in embodied form, who's gone through their own ascension process. But the ETs do this as well. and they have their own divine lineage, their original lineage without distortions. 10 of those, one for each of the primary species out there hanging out in the Galactic Federation, are represented in my consciousness stream, and then 15 archangels. Now, this was back in February, so there were 45 in February, and now last I heard there's over 100. Now, what this means, as I work on more and more people, right, which I do the groups, we'll talk about that in a little bit, the tools needed for those individuals come into my consciousness stream. The codes, the healing programs, call it what you want, are delivered through the light language out the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Now, just when we were talking a few minutes ago, you blurted out some, and forgive me for using that term, some light language came through. How does that happen? What does that mean? Because I noticed by doing some of your sessions that every once in a while you'll be speaking English, and then you'll go into the light language for just a few moments, then you go back into English again. So how does this work where the language comes in and out?
Well, think of it like this. If you, again, if your audience has dealt with people who channel other beings, and there's a gazillion people that are out there, they usually drop into a meditative state for a second or a minute, and then they twitch and pull in, whatever connection they need, and it comes through. That's great. That's not how it works with me.
Okay.
They are in my physical structure. There is no connection. They are 100% online all the time. And you can imagine the idea of a bus. Right now, Ken, I'm talking to you. I'm driving the bus. They want to drive the bus, they come through, and the light language would just do their thing. So it's like we just kind of exchange back and forth and flow, right? And walking around my house all day long is definitely not for the faint of heart, because they talk a lot.
And when they do that, and I know you had mentioned this to me in one of our previous conversations, but I think for everybody out there listening and watching, are you aware of when they're communicating and what they're actually communicating?
No, I am aware they are communicating, and they do talk to me as a single collective voice off to my right. And they'll have, just like we're having a conversation right now, is how they talk to me. Right. And they'll tell me what I need to know, whatever the questions I'm asking. Right. But when
telepathically.
Yeah, like literally, like in my head, having full-on conversations where, anybody else would say the guy needs a therapist, right? Mm-hmm. So, but this is full-on dialogue. But when they come through like they did a few moments ago, they are implanting, they're implanting the frequency of the topic of the conversation for me to kind of tap into it, to begin flowing with it. So while I don't know exactly what the light language words are normally, but this is them connecting me so I can talk about it. They are me, period. I am them. They feel everything. They're fully connected. There is no separation.
Okay. My special guest on Guys Radio, spiritual activator, and so much more, Ken Lloyd. Thank you so much, Ken, and your team for being with us today. Do you refer to them as your team, your guides, or?
My team. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's dirty words for them sometimes, right? Yeah. But yeah, my team.
Now, the language that they communicate in, is that a universal language? Is that something like French or German or whatever? Or is this something that's fluid?
So sort of. So light language is the original language of the universe. Okay. It's also, for the human, light language is designed so that we can't listen to it with our ears and pick out a certain word. If I say car, you're going to think red car, and they're going to think blue car, and someone else is going to think a foreign car, whatever. So light language is designed to bypass our own filtering system and our brain. Because as soon as we have a conversation about something, our brain is creating a judgment, a perception, an understanding, a position on whatever that comment is. So it bypasses all that. And it actually works directly as codes, as information to consciousness. So think of light language as consciousness having a conversation with consciousness. All right. So the light language that I use, first of all, there are thousands and thousands of different light languages that flow through me. Okay. And when I'm doing it, you'll hear different tones and different speeds and different voices. And it really depends on which one of my friends want to come through and deliver what I call information to maybe your organ, to your energetic field.
Hmm.
They talk to your higher self. They talk to, well, me. I'm literally having conversations with your team. Your soul will have a conversation with me. But then I can also go in there and talk to the consciousness of a dis-ease,
Okay.
if you will.
Well, talk to us, Ken, about what, since you see some things that other folks have not been attuned to see yet, what do you see in people that we're not aware of?
I got to tell you, everybody has trauma. Okay, period. Trauma, I want you to think of trauma as really heavy lead weight. Okay, energetically, even though, yes, energy doesn't have a weight, but for
Hmm.
us, say trauma is really, really heavy lead weight. And right now, with the evolution of the human, we are literally going through an evolution of the physical human structure. At the same time, we have all this galactic stuff happening. So, in order for us to evolve as the human, we have to get rid of that heavy lead weight, the dead weight, if you want to call it. So think of it like this: trauma, and it's just trauma, dis-ease, unhealthiness, whatever you want to call it, is like sandbags on a hot air balloon. When you remove that trauma, you raise the frequency of your soul, the frequency of your body. And this gives you access to more energetic health. This gives you access to your psychic capabilities, assuming that's something you're interested in, of course. It changes the physical structure of the body into what they call the crystalline structure. I got a crystalline body, which allows me to hold incredibly high frequencies in the physical structure so I can do my job to heal. Those are high frequencies. So I see that heaviness, and this is what I'm removing so people can vibrate higher and move into what they all call the 5D timeline. Basically, we create our own reality, and when we are dis-ease, when we are unhappy, when we're full of trauma, our reality shows up like that outside of us. So when we raise our frequency, our world changes. Everything changes. The people in our world, the conversations, the goodness coming in. So yes, I hope that made sense.
Absolutely. Now, can you you see people? How about the planet itself? What do you see for collective humanity as well as planet Earth, and what can be done about elevating the consciousness and the frequency of all of that?
That's a great question. So I don't do planetary work with intent, meaning that I'm here for literally billions of people to again remove that lead weight. And as I'm doing this, you could say I work for Gaia, I work for the planet, I work for the universe. As I do that, as I remove that lead weight, the whole collective, the human collective as well as the planetary collective, if you will, raises in frequency. This is part of the experience we're all going through right now. So I don't deal with Gaia directly, Gaia, planet Earth directly, or the other planets. I am here for the human, and I'm here for the masses to do this in volume or bulk, if you will.
Mhm. Now, you talk about being you are now kind of a prototype for the new human.
Mhm.
What does that exactly mean? And are all of us headed in the direction that you're headed in, where we're going to be welcoming walk-ins, or are you a quote unquote tool to help develop and raise the frequency of people?
It's the latter. So I'm not here to bring in other walk-ins, as an example. And listen, you don't necessarily want to be a walk-in. You want to be
Right.
yourself.
Right.
Period. All right.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I'm here and I apologize, I missed part of it. So by the way, when we're talking, I'm up there and I'm down here all at the same time.
Sure.
So I need you to repeat the question for me because I got the walk-in part and I apologize, but what's the first part of that question?
Well, you talked about you being kind of a prototype for the new
Oh,
person. So, are
right.
all of us going to be, how are people going to change over time? How are we
Yes.
going to evolve? And my
Yes, we
question
are.
connected to that was, are we all going to welcome walk-ins? Or like,
Uh,
how are we going to change versus what's happened to you? Or is it the same?
it's different for every individual, period, but there is a common theme, which is moving the human structure into this next version of the humanity, which is the crystalline structure, the crystalline body, the higher frequency, right? Everyone's going to do this, maybe not everyone alive at the moment,
Hmm.
but this is where the human is going. And it can be done in this lifetime. I'm an example of that. So I'm not a prototype. There are thousands of us out there. all different. But by us coming in and removing that heavy weight, our body will shift and change. We get activated. When this happens, this allows us to be connected to spirit in our own way. Everyone is different, right? But not only that, but it allows us to be creators in real time. Right, we talk about manifestation and those type of things, and
Right.
humans always had a difficult time with manifestation. There are 1,001 ways to try to do it, right? But we are natural creators, and as our frequency raises, the ability to create our own reality happens like that. So what happens here is when you're in front of me and you have discomfort, you have that pain, you have that dis-ease, and it goes away like that, you realize, oh my God, my reality was just shifted. We just created the reality where that didn't exist. Why can't I do that? You can by doing the work and raising the frequency. So everyone's going through this process.
Have you ever asked yourself, Ken, like, why me, and communicated with your team, if you will, and say, can you help me out? Because I mean, that's a lot, because you weren't a spiritual person per se, based on your comments, and all of this happened, and now you seem quite comfortable with what's going on, even with the ongoing changes. Have you ever talked to them about, like, why do you pick me? What's really the goal here? Like, hey, who do I go to? Should I go to you guys? I don't know if you do you believe in God, or talk to us about that,
Yeah,
about you and your experience.
so I have found out, I was asleep for the first 47 years of my life. Think of it like that, right? And then as this experience happened, I'm waking up and I'm still waking up to who I am. In fact, I don't have memories of who I am. Like we have people who, well, I was a this way back when, and I had that path. I don't get any of that. All right. And that's intentional because the team doesn't want me to show up and tell you about that time I lived in Egypt, right? They don't know. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to come in and do this massive work. I wasn't chosen. This is literally why I was created at the soul level. The soul was created to do exactly this job for billions of planets. And I have done it since the beginning of creation, or very, very close to the pre-creation phase. A compression phase is what they call it. This has always been my job.
What
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, yeah. So it's always been my job, and this is why it's so natural for me to show up and to do this. Drinking a coffee while I'm healing someone, like this is another day. I don't have spiritual practices where I go out and I meditate, or I will do this particular crystal healing, or none of it. None of it. It's actually off limits to a degree for me because my team is controlling everything, the physical structure and all the codes that take place.
Mhm. Now, you mentioned kind of knowing, having been doing this for, I guess, various incarnations in various places, probably beyond planet Earth.
Yeah.
From what you've gotten from your team, is that the same for everybody? Have we all had multiple incarnations, and we have specific agreements that we make when we come into this particular form at this particular time?
Yep, absolutely. Every one of us, there's very, very few, and I mean, I'm almost squeezing my fingers together, of souls that have incarnated for the very first time ever on Earth. It's too difficult to
Hmm.
for a soul to come in and to deal with this heaviness of this 3D experience, right? With no connection to source. Source is God. By all means, to get back to the other question, totally believe in it. I'm dealing with it all the time, right?
Okay.
Just call it source. But everyone's had pre-incarnation or incarnations in other locations. And typically what happens is that energy will move with them through the incarnation. So as an example, if you have a Palladian, heavy Palladian history, you'll notice you're attracted to the Palladian frequencies and energies, even if you don't know why in this lifetime. So yes, we all have that. We all have core missions, or what we might want to call core personalities.
Okay.
And we show up with these core personalities over and over differently, but the soul has not only a purpose and a mission of existence for the higher self, but it does exemplify that over and over and over from different perceptions and viewpoints. So it's almost as if, and sorry, this is how this works with me. When
Hmm.
a question's asked, they start pumping information in.
Well,
So,
please,
and then
please.
I'll start talking, and it's actually them talking.
Please thank you, team, Ken's team, for being on the show and dealing with us here. We really appreciate it. So you mentioned something, Ken, called the Library of Creation. Now, a lot of people are familiar with the term Akashic Records, where apparently everything, every thought, every action has been kind of recorded in some type of a library file somewhere. Is that so? And what is the Library of Creation? Is it different from the Akashic Records? And if so, how?
It's very, very different. So you can think of the Library of Creation as containing everything and more that not only the Akashics, but the Galactic Akashic records hold, right? It is a place, not only a library, to use that term, of information, every thought, every action of ourselves, every incarnation, every contract we ever had is in there as well, to a place of creation. So what this does is the library of creation, again, just use analogies or metaphors, contains all of the healing codes that I have. So when you go into the library and you go into the room of trauma, and this is real quick here, the room of trauma is just a white room, real simple stuff. Cardboard box in the middle, it's open and an open window. And when you go into the library, you're actually talking to the library, okay? And the way this works is you're going to tell the library, please show me an object that represents all the childhood trauma that prevents me from having a good relationship. Just as an example, you ask a question. And what happens here is your upper self, I call it, your soul, gathers all of that energetic connection to all of your trauma. Again, it's all energy, and places it in that object. Now, you're not going to know what that object is. It doesn't even matter. And you're going to sit there, and with that object in front of you, you're going to give it appreciation, gratitude, and forgiveness. Not for the trauma. You're providing that forgiveness, that love, if you will, because you're forgiving yourself for holding it.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. That object will change shape and then it'll float away. What's really happening here is you're telling the room, show me everything I need to work on right now. Okay. One big lump. If you were to go to the Akashic Records and say, listen, why do I have the issue of having a strong relationship? And, well, Akashic Record number one person's going to say, well, this time back, way back when.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes on and on and on and on. We've had so many lives. So you can go to the Akashic Record reader, the Akashas, all day long. In the library, you just need to do it once. It's bulk, if you will. So anyways, it's released. The library, you'll tell the library to heal and release, and it'll actually use those codes and come into your field and get rid of that. You'll feel shifts in the physical body while you're in these different places in the library. It contains knowledge. You can go in there, and this is still being developed. You can go in there and say, hey, how do I solve my scientific mathematical formula, so to speak? All the information's in there.
Okay. So Ken, we talked about maybe your team coming in and doing some work, and I'd like to talk about then how you work with our audience out there separately, because you can go to Ken's website, and we'll get into that in a few minutes, and download different things for different aspects of your health or whatever that you have, and then you can play them every couple of days because the codes take some time to kind of sink in. But for right now, could your guides give us a demonstration, and really I don't mean it as like a magic trick, but show us something that would help our collective audience. And I want to say one thing before they begin, and that is for everybody out there, again, with the driving and the heavy equipment, don't do any of that stuff. Just sit back. If you're at home with some friends, just chill out and take in the channeling of the light language.
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, I actually require this of every interview that I do. Like, they're going to show up and we're going to give them something.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm here for.
Great. Thank you.
So with this particular delivery, they're going to work on the energetic field. And what I tell people is, one, just take a inventory of your emotion, your frequency, do you feeling heavy, you feeling light? It's okay. And those physical discomforts in the body, those aches and pains, right? And then you'll check yourself in just a few moments. So beyond that, you can do this eyes open, eyes closed, drinking coffee, doesn't matter. Give me a moment. Aleale shi akia no amama ali eshi so sha sha kia kishiko no sha ala le ni shi ale ariato shukoli na mama ne te kana ka to ko to ta isho le ari tinda ko ama pa le sho no do yama pa ne na kanya te kanya ka ka ko ne shi le ko ya ba to ko no to te te ra shi da kama pa kama kum kina karoto ale te kanya kanya chko no to no ni na kanya ko ko ne te kanya ka ko ne ke shi to da ya to ya ba ya ro ba yo te ka ba kanya ta ya ro to ne shi ne tia shikta ko shodo ba ko apa mama me na dan de ke tin ke ko ni ko shono do ya ki na ko de ka mar pa ni ke da ko ko ni ko ni ko shukto at ko ko chukpa ko na pa anate ko na o de ka pa ala ko do ke ne to ke ni ke chen te kareta ko pa ko to de den da dari ko do shia shukri yar moriet kara mama ya na dan ke ni chukko ko do shodo do de bari anda da ale yare ato ko yo no to do na mama ba na da ke ne te kare de ka ko no chukni mama mama ne ka do ke ya te ke le to ya baba ya de gi shikaro to koreara ne krete ke no shodo do sono do te ne da ne benine ta do na mar ko no do de na bargini di gini at ko to shiata ale mama e no ta mama e ni ti na ta do no te ama papa e no to ne ne ko ko ya ba ale ya daria shikili ya roto ya mama ba ishi no ma ishi roto ariaro to kor no to no ama ba shi Akiana aniato no ama isu a aku shuto shuko ama pa aishiata tiki chiko breko do to kapu chiko breko ne tiki chiko breko breko ne gara gore shiro breko ne gara breko ne tiki chiki kariato korea mawleata anata to korto choreto ama mama enete de nanda de no to de breko ne tichia shuko pa kap ko chiki ne ka ke ka apis ko de ki shin de gore aba do da de ka breko to de na de prearo to de grete kadara ya chiki tia shukuto okay.
Wow.
So,
So
yeah.
for everybody out there, and that was a lot. And if it's the first time you're hearing that, you're like, what? And it's perfectly understandable. But tell us, you were kind of a part of this, Ken. What were they saying, kind of, quote unquote, saying? What were they communicating?
Okay. No, I was actually thinking about the bike ride I'm going on. Seriously, like when this happens, I'm in the back of my head wondering, have I done my laundry? What am I going for dinner tonight? What am I doing for the weekend? Like that's happening as I'm actually watching my tongue as an observer, the frequencies coming off my tongue, and I make fun of my team. I do. I'm like, man, guys, you got frequencies coming off the left, you got frequencies coming off the right, but why can't you do the middle? Are you not good enough? Like we have fun. This is a fun comment to them, but this is me. I literally am in the back of the bus, metaphorically, as they deliver what they need to deliver. Now, the beauty of this is you'll notice the different tones and speeds and things. And these are the different energies coming in to deliver that tool. Now, the way they come in, each of them come in not just to show up, which by the way, I can see them kind of lining up in line like a roller coaster ride, getting ready to for their turn. But when you have your replays, right, is not the live, they've already got the codes for your audience ready. And it doesn't matter if it's a year from now or an hour from now. When somebody shows up, they're going to get their codes. And this is what's really, really neat about the team is that they don't show up to say, on August 8th, we have the Lionsgate, which I don't pay much attention to these things, but so you're going to get the Lionsgate code. No, that's not how this works with my team. I show up and you're going to get exactly what you're ready for. And that could be the pain in the back going away. That could be your clairs coming online, a trauma release. You might find yourself crying because of the trauma happening. So everyone gets exactly what they need at the time.
So that's what, for our audience, collectively, we each individually got kind of a taste of what we need right now to help us elevate our frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So every one of us has a spirit team, our guides, our angels. We all have those words, right? Your team works with my divine team. Your team will get you in front of me to say, hey, George needs to have his heart condition addressed. Again, I'm not a doctor by all means, people, but they will have the team deliver the codes through me. It takes a human to heal a human in many cases. Okay. So, yeah.
Running short on time, but a couple of quick questions. So when you work with individuals and they do the downloads from your website. And there's a lot of freebies that come up. And if you follow Ken on Facebook, he's got a lot of freebies. But if you do purchase some of the bigger downloads, I did the abundance the other day. I've been doing it for about a week or so with my wife. It's wonderful. When you over time, because you say, okay, do it, wait 3 days for it to sink in, and then maybe another 3 days. If I did, should I continue to do this like 6 months from now, or every once in a while, or when I feel I need it, or how do you use the codes after you've done the downloads work going forward?
Right. So protocol, if you will. So what you're referring to is I have a catalog and I've got 70, 100, I don't even know how many different things in there for different conditions, as well as my lives, etc. So when you're in there, you'll get your download, your replay, listen to it once, and then I tell everyone, wait 3 days because the codes have to integrate into the system. Okay? Listen to it again because it's like a compressed file. It keeps unpacking for you. And the team tells me, do this 3 times, a little bit of a break in between each one. And then you can listen to it anytime you want going forward for more clearings and such. But the original packet of information is delivered and installed. Okay. But when it comes to some of the other things I'm doing, like the clearing of energy or trauma or heart healing, that's stuff that'll always continue. We'll always have something to work on. So those are available anytime.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's the question. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Ken, amazing work. Spiritual activator Ken Lloyd and his team of wonderful guys who are here to help elevate the frequency of the planet. And I can say personally, from my wife and I, Uni and I, we've worked with Ken, and we love what's happening with us. It's just absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Ken. Thank you, guides. And please tell everybody where they can learn more about you, your website, and where they can participate and take some of yours, do some sessions with you.
Yeah, so kenlloydofficial.com is the website. You'll find all my events on there, all my replays, the catalog, which contains all the different dis-ease conditions you may want to work on. But more importantly, join the Facebook group, the Evolutionary Human Ken Lloyd. I try to drop free codes in there once or twice a week, right? And then all my updates are in there. We've got thousands of people hanging out, and I got to tell you, I sit here and eat popcorn metaphorically, and listening to these comments of these folks. And the life shifts and the changes and the amazing things happening to them. So I like to read the comments. It's pretty cool. But yeah, the Facebook groups were all happening. And then there's the YouTube and the Instagram, all kenlloyd.official.
Mm-hmm. Ken Lloyd Official. Thank you, Ken, for doing the work you're doing. Thank you, guides. Please come back to the show. I really love working with you. I love the energy that's happening. I love the things that are happening in my life. And I usually don't so strongly endorse somebody, but I really think you're for real, and you can really help a lot of people and help our planet. So thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys TV and Guys Radio, please support us by subscribing to our channels and platforms. Thank you.